What would a successful season look like for the 2023 Twins? Who's going to be the team MVP? Who's going to win the team Cy Young Award? Breakout prospect? Matt Braun. He's got all his picks for you on today's episode of Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome to the Locked On Minnesota Twins podcast. I'm your gracious host, Nash Walker. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network, or it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. I've been hosting this show for 3 seasons, 4 off seasons, been writing at TwinsDaily.com for 4 seasons, 4 off seasons with my buddy and Twins analyst, Matt Braun, who is back with us to talk off season. Well, we did recap the offseason Thursday. We're going to look forward to 2023. We're going to look at MVP pick, Cy Young pick. What does a successful season look like? Because I always get different answers. I think it's such an interesting kind of question. What does a successful season look like for the 2023 Twins? Matt is a fan favorite. Check the comments. People just, where is he? Where's Matt? He's back, and we're excited. Back-to-back days. Like,
I'm in
What
Washington.
did I do? What did I do to deserve this? Back-to-back days. Matt, let's kick that off. So I thought of it this way, like yesterday or the day before. I was like, I'm just thinking about the Twins. I don't know if you ever do this. You just find yourself thinking about the Minnesota Twins. I was doing it. I caught myself again thinking about the Twins. Sometimes I'm dreaming about playoff wins. Actually dream about them. What is a successful season? So Matt, in 2022, Cleveland, they win the division. They win 90. I think they won 90 games. They swept Tampa in the playoffs. They pushed the Yankees to game 5 in the ALDS. If the Twins did that in 2023, how would you view that season?
Oh, I'd say it's absolutely a success. I think, at this point, just to like get off the schneid at all for the Twins and just put this freaking like playoff curse behind you, just forget about it. Even if you just win one game, I think that just changes so much about how people perceive the Twins. But I think if I were to give perhaps a more interesting answer as well, what I would like to see holistically, like as a franchise, is less stagnation amongst the higher level prospects. Because, and I think a lot of this also has to do with the COVID season that messed up prospects and messed up, how players were improving at a rate that I don't even think we fully understand yet. Because you look at top guys drafted in 2018, 2019, it's brutal. It's brutal out there. And so it's like, well, tell me, what do you think is more realistic? That both Jared Kelenic and Joe Adell are just like tremendously awful at baseball, or did something go wrong along the way? Maybe they are. It happens. Top prospects bust. This is nothing new. But at the level that it's happening, it's just like, man, something's got to be going on. But to get back to what I was saying, I think for too many of the players, like in their top 10, I was just thinking to myself when I was looking up or writing about them, I'm like, well, kind of had a bad year, need to get back, whether it was injuries or performance, a lot of injuries mainly. And so if I can see more of this step up, and I can see a guy like, say, Josh Winder really take a step up and have even just like average production at the major league level, to see a few of those guys, I think that would be a huge success.
I said that a couple weeks ago, something along those lines of the young players on the roster. Like, let's establish a core for the future. Like, establish a future. I think Winder, I love that you brought up Winder. It would be great to just pencil in Josh Winder for the next 6 years, 7 years. But hey, either as a back of the rotation starter, or mid to back of the rotation starter, or back of the bullpen, a setup man. Just Griffin Jacks, penciling in Griffin Jacks. We talked about him and Driveline and what he's doing. It just feels good. Like, that's a prospect success story, and it's your guy. He's a homegrown prospect. He fills a roster spot and he does it well. You need more of that. I agree in 2023, and that's going to lead to wins. It's like that. It's one thing, chicken or the egg, and usually it's you make those prospects. You develop these prospects. They progress, and they win you games. It's as simple as that in baseball. It's not
So
easy
easy.
to do.
Why are other teams not doing this,
I
man?
know.
It's so
So
easy.
simple. So simple. Matt, looking at this roster, Carlos Correa, team's MVP last year. They named him the team MVP. I actually picked Luis Ariz because I was more biased, I think, to the first half because I thought he was just so amazing in the first half for them. Obviously faded in the second half. I still chose him. I could see how people pick Correa. Who do you think is going to be the team's MVP in 2023?
Man, I really do hate to go the basic route, but it feels like Correa is the most likely answer. But I will also say, for fun, I'm going to throw two more names out there. I think it would not surprise me if Jose Miranda really took that next step. And I don't know if he becomes team MVP, but at least threatens to be it. Because, I mean, that bat, there's just so much going on there. And I'm not a huge fan of his defense, but it's not like so unbearably bad that he can't work on it.
Mhm.
But here's the again, man, I don't know what's going on tonight. I'm just throwing out the takes that people are going to hate me for. Let's say Joey Gallo, man.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about Joey Gallo. I've hated on him. Everyone's hated on him. I think half of baseball is hated on him just because his profile is so unesthetically pleasing. Uh, but there's production in there. You know, he had some solid years. And just last year, everything went wrong. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's now a bad player. I think he still has it in him. I still think he could put up, say, a 4 WAR season. And I think that puts him in the conversation.
I like it. Miranda and Gallo as under the radar picks. Byron Buxton always in that conversation. Matt goes with Carlos Correa, his Cy Young pick, Rookie of the Year pick, breakout prospect pick, and so much more. Coming up next after this word from Built Bar. Built Bars are the best tasting protein bar ever. I had a Built Bar the other night. So good. I could have had a second. And why? They're covered in 100% real chocolate. They're soft and easy to chew. I'm type 1 diabetic, and for me, 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. Massive, absolutely massive, and they're delicious. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You can thank me later. Built Bars are truly the best tasting protein bars in the world. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every single day on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Locked On MLB Prospects, hosted by Lindsey Crosby. He's a prospect encyclopedia going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Matt picked Correa with Gallo and Miranda also in the conversation for team MVP. Team Cy Young might be a little bit harder. Twins have a bunch of starters, veteran starters, all of whom could potentially win the Team Cy Young Award or be in contention, maybe even for the American League Cy Young Award if they take steps forward. Matt, who would you pick for your Team Cy Young?
Ooh, I think I'm gonna have to go with Tyler Mahle, because and I know I've again on the show I've spouted my appreciation for him. I think the perception around him is down right now, and understandably so. I mean, he only pitched I think like 4 games for the Twins, and they weren't great really. Uh, and it was easy to just toss him. Oh, they traded for another injured starter. You know, they did all that, which this is going to be another rant. They traded for a player in a position that traditionally gets injured often. It's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily saying he was injured. Let's please stop with that narrative. It's very sickening to me. But anyways, I think Mahle, if he is shoulders right, which at this point we have no reason to believe it's not, and he can give you 180 innings, I do think he's capable of putting up a season where I don't think he's going to win a Cy Young, but I think he could potentially get some back votes there. I think that he just has a very good fastball that he can work off with the splitter. Kind of lacking that third pitch, but I think I just read he was working on a new slider this offseason. I think he also went to Driveline. So I think if he puts it all together, I think we're looking at a pretty darn good starting pitcher.
Love to see that he's working on the slider. I love that. The injury thing, trading for injured pitchers, trading for injured players, extending injured players, I think you gotta go case by case, and one of the prominent examples is Sam Dyson, and with Sam Dyson, I mean, I think the Giants either didn't disclose information or he never said that he was hurt. But I don't think there was any inkling from the Twins that Sam Dyson was hurt. He was pitching well, and he was pitching well for the Giants before the trade, came over, got hurt or was already hurt basically when he came over. And then you mentioned the Mahle deal. Like, I don't think Tyler Mahle was hurt. He pitched 6 scoreless innings in Anaheim. I was at that start. I don't think he was hurt when the Twins traded for him. He got hurt. His shoulder was sore. He's a pitcher. It happens. I think you have to go case by case. Do I think the Twins have a philosophy that they care less about it? About, I think, injury history. They're looking for upside, and we've talked about that before. Like, that's where you find your upside sometimes. That's why they're not signing for $300 million. Do I think they have that as a philosophy? In some ways, yes. But I think you got to go case by case. How would you respond to that?
Well, first of all, if there was a vibe going on, the second you mentioned Sam Dyson, it just died, man. Try it. Forget about that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. But I mean, I guess it's just, it's tough. I think with pitching, especially pitchers these days, because I mean, they just drop like flies. I mean, if you got 150 innings, that's now considered like a complete season or whatever.
Mhm.
So with the Twins, with Dyson, yeah, they definitely got, I text my good friend Andrew Gibo, who used to write for Twins Daily, because he's a Giants fan, and I make fun of him all the time for such. And on that one, I'm like, hey, dude, rotten organization, aren't you, huh? Couldn't tell us your pitcher was injured, huh?
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, it's the risk you run. It's like I said, pitchers, they get injured often. I don't know if you've heard. And for the Twins, I mean, they're not shelling out for. Hey, I was just about to say they're not shelling out for Carlos Rodon, but guess who used to be an often injured pitcher? Carlos Rodon.
Yep.
These things just
Signed
happen.
by the San
Signed
Francisco Giants.
the San Francisco Giants. There you are. And now a very wealthy man made by the
Yeah,
Yankees.
as
So
he
it's
should.
like, hey, it's the price of doing business, man. Pitchers are going to get injured. You never know, really.
Speaking of those Yankees, their trade acquisition, who was seen as more prominent acquisition than Tyler Mahle last offseason, Frankie Montas, is done basically for the year, or could be for the year after shoulder surgery. It's the risk you run. So the Yankees could be looking at a 6.35 ERA from their marquee acquisition last trade deadline. It's the risk you run. Matt Braun
It's
said it best.
put that on my tombstone, I guess. Also, thank God Thad and Levine ignored all of our Where Frankie memes.
I know, and that he knew, or that Derek Falvey knew about that, was like so funny to me. Like, it was just so, and it just, you feel heard. Like they're seeing these memes on Twitter from
We're
Twins
real
fans.
people. We're
For
making a
real.
difference.
They can see us from some burner somewhere. Matt's breakout prospect pick, rookie of the year, more coming from Matt after this word from FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel is the best place to go bet on the NBA. It's the midway point of the NBA season, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. Don't miss your chance on your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to fanduel.com/locked on. That's fanduel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Last year, Matt correctly chose Emmanuel Rodríguez. I jumped on the bandwagon, of course, as the team's breakout prospect. And Matt, there's no rules to this. When I do breakouts, it can be somebody who's already broken out. Like, I would say Ed Julian's broken out twice in some ways. You can pick Emmanuel Rodríguez again. Do you think he's going to get even better? I mean, it would be hard to put up better numbers, but who is your pick, or who are your picks maybe for a Twins breakout prospect of 2023?
All right, let's go. So I have let's say 3 of them. Two of them I think legitimately count, and the other one, like you said, is one of those things where we're not making rules for this. We're just gonna be having fun with this.
Yep.
So my first one is Noah Miller, whom I love with perhaps my entire heart, and whom I have since the beginning. I've ranked him like top 3 and top 5 every single time. I'm like, I don't give a shit. He's slugging under 300. This guy is going to be good. Uh, okay, yeah, the slugging is a problem, but first of all, he's 19. So I don't really care about how a 19-year-old is slugging. We'll see if he struggles again with power this year, we can reevaluate that. But what I see is I see a guy who can absolutely play shortstop, who has such an advanced feel for the strike zone. You look at his walk rates, you look at his on base ability, and I'm just like, he's just got that one problem. Just put a little bit of weight room is just going to make this guy really pop. And I think that he's got the pedigree. I think he was second round or perhaps a late
Mhm.
first out of a high school in Wisconsin. Um, so I really think like he can have an explosive year this year and really go back up the list. And rest assured, if that happens, I will remain incredibly humble about the whole operation. I will not say a word about it, mainly because I can't, because I don't have Twitter anymore. But that is my first pick.
Nice. I like that pick. I like that pick. Noah Miller, yes. Brother of Owen, played for Cleveland, and Matt highlighted all the reasons why you should bet on Noah Miller. I think a breakout prospect for 2023 is, again, I'm gonna take a starting pitcher who may have already broken out, but I'm gonna go with Marco Raya again because I think he is going to, at high A in Cedar Rapids, put together a really special season. And he came on early in the offseason, putting on weight. He had already put on a bunch of weight early in the offseason, and he was already throwing 95. I tweeted out a little clip today. Matt, you would not know that I tweeted out a little clip today of Marco Raya and his fastball, and then it was a slider. I did not overlay like the ninja. I don't know how to do it, but it was pretty. It was fun to watch. It was already mid 90s. So I'm thinking puts on some weight. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 96, 97 coming out on opening day in Cedar Rapids. And if that's the case, man, he's already got nasty breaking stuff. Baseball Prospectus is, as you are in love with Noah Miller, Baseball Prospectus is in love with Marco Raya. I believe he is their like 43rd best prospect or something crazy, which is amazing because you look at other sites and they don't view him as that. Twins Daily, we ranked him number 4 in the system, so like equally as high. I'm Marco Raya. You were part of that voting process, so
Mhm.
did you
I'm
support it?
Yes, no, I'm very glad you brought up Marco Raya. I'm glad you brought up Baseball Prospectus as well because they had in my albeit short time so far in the grand scheme of like reading prospect evaluations, they have my favorite line ever, which was Marco Raya's slider is Caron, here to shuttle hitters back to the dugout. And I'm like, yes, you couldn't craft a better line than that.
Beautiful.
It's just poetry. I have nothing else to say about it because it's just such a dominating pitch that yeah, it's like if he and his fastball has great characteristics. If he can just pitch innings, if he can just not suffer the plight of basically every young pitcher ever, he's gonna be so good.
Love him. Who's your second pick?
Ooh, second pick. Second pick is going to be Noah Cardenas,
Ooh,
who this is another one where it's like, okay, I get why people aren't a huge fan of Noah Miller because you're like, you like 289 slugging, like get out of my face. Okay, I understand that. Noah Cardenas this is off the top of the dome at I believe high A, or actually might have been low A. Walked more than he struck out as a catcher, which that always catches my eye. You're like, oh, a catcher with a good feel for the strike zone. Had a really solid bat. Nothing like overtly extreme, but a good bat. I really don't have much defensive information on him, unfortunately. But with that kind of groundwork, I'm very interested in this guy. He's a little old for the level. I think he's like 24 or whatever. They took him out of UCLA, some
yes.
Pac-12.
UCLA.
UCLA. Let's go. I do have a
That was
memory after
huge.
all.
Wow.
Oh, clutch. So I knew it was some sort of Pac-12 school. And I'm like, and every time everyone else ranks him, it's like either they don't or he's so far down the list. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm interested in him. So we'll see what happens. It could just be he's an old for the level kind of thing. But it's going to be like Miller again, where, hey, keep your eye on him. If he starts popping in 2023, we might be looking at like a legitimate option in the majors for the next catcher for the Twins.
Absolutely incredible looking draft. Like, I think we're gonna look back and this is gonna be the 2021 draft. First round, Chase Petty, traded for Sonny Gray. Second round, Noah Miller, your first pick. Steve Hajar, third round, traded for Tyler Mahle. Cade Povich, traded. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Cade Povich, traded for Jorge Lopez. Christian Encarnacion Strand, traded for Tyler Mahle. Noah Cardenas, eighth round pick. David Festa, the 399th pick. And then Jalen Nolan was taken in the 19th round, and he's like flying up prospect boards as well. That draft is going to be one I think we could potentially look back and remember. Jalen Nolan, 14 strikeouts per nine across the 2A levels last year in his first. I think that was his first full stint in the Twin system, which, wow. I mean, what's your take on that draft so far, Matt?
Oh yeah, I'm very glad you reminded me of Nolan. Sometimes I'll admit, I can't remember all these guys too often. Usually, what happens is I'll like hear a name and I'll just be like, somewhere in the deep recesses of like.
All right, we're gonna kick Matt and see if we can get him back here. I hope you're enjoying it, everybody. It's me over here. I hope you're enjoying our chat with Matt so far. Always amazing stuff, and he's back.
Oh man, Hello. It happened again. Where was I? Where was I?
Deep in the recesses of my, and then
slam. That's a weird way to end. I don't know about that one. Oh, I know what I was saying. Deep in the recesses of like my weird sports memory, you hear those names and you're like, "That's a guy. I know that guy. That guy's a guy somewhere." And yeah, Nolan, like you said, he struck out like a million guys. So that's very exciting to see. What I was saying, what I was soliloquying about was how it's fascinating how, like you pointed out, a lot of those guys they then traded, but I think they traded higher than their prospect pedigree, or at the very least equal than their prospect pedigree said that they were going to be worth. So I'm not too mad about that. And basically in any MLB draft, the way I see it, if you get one guy who's even like mildly contributing, you did well. It's such a crapshoot shit show that it's like, hey, you did a great job. And I think they have a good chance of, if not Cardenas or Nolan, then at least Festa is probably going to make some sort of impact.
And Noah Miller is in there.
And Noah Miller.
You got one more pick, my friend. Who do you got?
For the breakout prospect, yes.
Yes.
This is, again, he kind of already broke out. Cody Lawyerson had a tremendous 2022, and I
wrote it that way.
Really thought. Oh, do you have him?
Cody Lawyerson.
Lorison, is that how you say it?
No, you got it. You're spot on. I wrote it. I pronunciated last night with it. But yes,
let's go. I remember the first maybe 8 times I had to write his name. I put the Y in the wrong spot every single time because you think it's lawyer, like right. Lawmaker, and it's like no. But anyways, he is. I have a deep appreciation for funky pitchers. Like Trevor Hildenberger was my hero. And then he fell from grace, and I was inconsolable. I haven't been happy since, really.
Yeah, great dude too.
Great dude as well. Still doing work, I think, with the PA, if I'm wrong. But Cody Lawyerson, he's got like this weird, like, the only way I can describe it is like a swan kind of like there's a few frames, if you pause the way he's pitching, it looks like he's like trying to do some sort of weird karate move. But hey, it works. I don't know what kind of funk it is, but it works. He pitched really well at a tough pitching environment in Double-A, and I was surprised to see the Twins didn't protect him in the Rule 5, and no one took him in the Rule 5. But hey, same thing happened with José Miranda. So it's like that's not necessarily a death spell. I could really see him if shit starts hitting the fan with pitcher injuries. He may come up. He may make an impact. I don't know, but I love him. I want to see more of him.
I said last night, if you're Cody Lawyerson and you put up a 1 ERA at AAA he had a 31% strikeout rate last year at AA, he had a 1.06 ERA. What do you even tell him at that point? Like, well, we just don't think it's going to work. Well, it's worked. It's worked for years,
Right?
I don't know what you say. It reminds me, and you might be able to see through to this, Bailey Ober and his minor league numbers. Because when he was doing it, it was like, okay, but he's 88, 89. Like, he doesn't have this stuff. Reminds me a lot, like funky 6'9" Bailey Ober. The deception is there, and it's there with Cody Lorison. So I like that pick as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Those are Matt's picks. And Matt's pick for MVP, Matt Cy Young pick. Matt, finally, your rookie of the year pick for the Twins in 2023.
Rookie of the year. This is probably going to be the hardest one because as I look at it, it doesn't seem to be a lot of like obvious places where someone can take over. It's probably just going to be Edouard Julien. I'll play it.
Matt was taking a sip of beer there. We were missing. He was taking a sip. We lost him. He's going to take Edouard Julien for rookie of the year, and he's back. Okay, we heard you. Ed Julien is your pick. His Wi-Fi is like, I'm done. Folks, Matt Braun, I hope you enjoyed him. We had a blast. Thank you so much, as always, for making Locked On Twins your first listen every single day on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much. Have a great day, and go Twins.